Let's take a look at the chart action for Bitcoin. All right, so here's what I am looking at. We had resistance right here, resistance right here. We had support right here, support right here. I'm watching this channel pattern going to the upside. Right now, it looks like we're testing this resistance line. I think if we could break out to the upside, we could target from the top to the bottom of this channel pattern, something like that, or maybe from back here, something like that, drag that to the breakout, and we're looking at a target of approximately 74,531. In general, like I've been talking about, I really have been targeting this area right here, and that's pretty much where we're at. So we're pretty much hitting our target. What I'm thinking now is I'm watching this uptrend right here. So we have an uptrend and we have a resistance line. I'm kind of curious if we're going to break up or if we're going to break down. I think if we break down, we might start looking at the previous support levels, something like that, maybe something like this. This is sitting around 54,000, 47,500, somewhere around there, and around 40,800. It's also possible that we come up and hit this trend line somewhere around this area, which is sitting around 45,600. I had been watching this resistance and this resistance giving me a trend line something like this, and ever since we broke this downtrend going to the upside, I had been more bullish. I think one of the main trend lines we're going to be watching right now is this bottom trend line right here. If we break this one going to the downside, then we're going to have to start getting a little more worried and have to look for a previous support level, something like that. But until then, I think we're in this channel pattern, and it might be going something up and down, something like this. I'm kind of curious if we're going to break down right here or if we're going to keep pushing up. The one thing I don't really like is there's a bearish divergence on the 4-hour time frame. The RSI is trending down while the price is trending up. However, if we go to the daily time frame, the price is just going up. It looks like it's kind of going sideways right now, so this might be a reversal to the downside, but I'm not 100% sure. It looks more clear on the 4-hour time frame. Downtrend, uptrend. So this might be a smaller little correction if we start coming down. I would say maybe I would start looking at around 47,471 if we start going down. And if we start breaking to the upside, I'm be looking at this bigger target up here at around 74,531. But we have some resistance levels over here that we're going to probably have to tackle first. This one is sitting at around 64,662, and this one is around 61,300. I'm really curious what's going to happen with this RSI right now. It doesn't seem like we have much more time before we get a break to the upside or to the downside. That space is getting filled up pretty fast, and it's only a matter of time before we pass this area right here. Okay, let's jump over the total crypto market cap. Here is what I'm looking at. We're on the 4-hour, or let's go to the daily time frame. This way you can see it a little better. These are the tops on the previous tops, should I say, and they're going lower. So what I was saying, what I've been saying is that we're getting lower highs. What I want to do is get a higher high. But okay, so this is the daily time frame. This doesn't look that great. But if we go to the weekly time frame, we have candles that look like we've already broken the uptrend. We have resistance right here and resistance right here. These two bodies, these candles on the weekly time frame. Let's draw a trend line, something like this. We actually broke the trend line of the bodies right here so far. So I'm kind of thinking if we can stay above this area, we might be moving up. I mean, this is the weekly time frame, so I mean we have 5 days. It might be possible that we get some volatility and we kind of stay in this area right here. But if we can kind of stay around here and don't get a huge downturn, then I'm thinking that we might be above this trend. Like we might have already broken the trend line, and we might be just needing to kind of test it a little bit before we can keep continuing to go up. I'm not 100% sure, but like this looks pretty interesting on the weekly time frame. That daily candle, those daily candles, the bodies of them. We got the trend line right here. We broke that trend line right there on the weekly. So like I said, on the daily, it doesn't change the fact that we still have had lower highs though. So until we start breaking some of these highs, then that's pretty much going to be the confirmation that we are going to continue to go up. And I guess we could do like an uptrend. We're on the daily time frame right now. Let's do an uptrend, something like this. I feel like we've already broken it right here. We had an uptrend like this, and then we're starting to go sideways. So we might even want to do, yeah, I mean, let's look at this uptrend right here. That's what I would kind of say. Something like that. Let's see if it breaks to the downside, even though we've already kind of, it seems like we're going sideways a little bit. We might even want to do trend lines, something more like this. Actually, now that I played with the lines, check it out. We have resistance. This is a 4-hour time frame. We have resistance all right here. We have support, 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 support. This kind of looks like a rising wedge pattern, something like this. It looks like we're testing the downside right now too, and we're right at our resistance zone. So I don't know. It's possible that we break up to the upside, but this is a bearish pattern, and it's more likely to break to the downside. We haven't broken yet, so we're gonna have to wait to see whether we do break up or down. But I'm kind of watching these trend lines right here on the 4-hour time frame in general. So I would keep your eye on this 4-hour time frame on the total crypto market cap. Let's see if we break one of these trend lines going up or down. Maybe that'll give us a better signal if we could get more bearish targets, or if we're gonna start looking at more bullish targets. All right, let's jump over to the Bitcoin dominance chart. This looks super interesting. So all right, so here's what we've been looking at. We've been looking at this for a while now. We had this big triangle. We got a breakout to the downside. We got a nice altcoin season, this whole little run right here. And so now what I've been looking at is these previous bottoms right here. I drew orange lines, and we've been looking at this the whole way down pretty much. And so we hit the first orange line once, got a nice little bounce, got resistance, came back down, hit that orange line, and got support again. I've been saying once we start hitting these orange lines, I'm going to start looking at Bitcoin a lot more. And we got a bounce, so that's pretty cool. What I'm thinking now is it looks like kind of like a W pattern. So what I would do here is do a resistance line right here. We could do a horizontal red line. Basically, if we could break this horizontal line going to the upside, it'll be a double bottom W pattern pretty much. We could drag from the top to the bottom of the W. Let's see, something like that. The bottom, let's do a bottom trend line just so you can kind of see. We're looking at a bottom trend line, something like this, and we have the W right here. Let's drag this target from the target to the breakout, and we're looking at approximately 58%.50, somewhere around there. And yeah, that brings it back to where it used to be. We still haven't broken out yet, so it's possible that we could get some volatility going, or maybe form a triangle or form a rising wedge. I'm not really sure what it is yet, but it does look like the start of a W pattern. The W is usually a reversal pattern after a big downturn. So we got what seems to be a double bottom right here. It's also a double bottom. You could call it a double bottom as well. And so yeah, you get kind of this little box thing like that. Drag it from the top to the bottom, and then we drag that to the breakout going to the upside pretty much. If we're doing it a double top, it just works in reverse. So if you had something like this, you would target, it's like an M pattern, I guess you could call it. I never really thought of that. But target from the top to the bottom of that, drag that to the breakout, and that's a double top right there. So yeah, basically looking at a double bottom on the Bitcoin dominance chart. Possibly, if we get resistance right here and start heading down, this is just going to be like a channel pattern, and we won't, or possibly a big flag pattern. So I'm not really sure if we still have to break out right here to confirm that we're actually getting a reversal, or if this is just a channel pattern or a bear flag pattern. I don't know. I'm thinking, since I've been watching these orange lines, I'm kind of thinking it might be a W pattern and we might be going back up, but we're going to have to wait and see. I've been watching this chart, and I'll continue to watch this chart. I suggest you watch it as well. We could also watch the 4-hour time frame, maybe watch this uptrend, something like that. I mean, this looks kind of parabolic. We could do an uptrend, maybe something like this on the 4-hour time frame. Watch until this breaks to the downside. Then we're going to be watching Bitcoin, or I'll be watching Bitcoin, trying to hit these targets. Mostly more than the other coins, should I say. So yeah. All right, so if we jump over to Ethereum compared to Bitcoin, Ethereum had been running up really hardcore compared to Bitcoin. We've been getting this big uptrend. I was watching this trend line right here pretty much, and we'd kept getting support on it, got support on it multiple times. Let's delete some trend lines so we could just look at exactly what we're looking at right now. Okay, so we had this main trend line right here. We broke that going to the downside right there. It looked like we were kind of staying in that area for a while, kind of going sideways, but it looks like we got a nice little clean breakout to the downside. What I'm looking at now is we have support right here, and support right here, giving us this sideways support trend line, something like this. It looks like we're coming in to test it right now. So I'm kind of curious if Ethereum is going to get a bounce now once we hit this trend line, maybe something like this. Maybe Ethereum will get a small little bounce, something like that. I think if Ethereum breaks this going to the downside, it's going to either be really good for Bitcoin. I mean, it is going to be good for Bitcoin, but I'm curious if it's going to be just bad for Ethereum or if it's going to be good for Bitcoin. If this chart is going down, it's good for Bitcoin, or we're going to be wanting to watch Bitcoin. And if this chart is trending up, that's going to be good for Ethereum. So like I was watching Ethereum all through this uptrend, and now we broke that uptrend going to the downside right here. Let's see if we could get support. Let's see if we could break back and get some volatility. Maybe we can kind of form some sort of flag pattern, something like this, where we go sideways or something. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. If we go down, though, that's not going to be good for Ethereum, and we'll have to start looking at these previous trend lines pretty much. And either Ethereum might be taking a dump, or Bitcoin might be leaving it behind. If we get a break to the upside, it'll be a nice little pump for Ethereum, I think. While possibly Bitcoin takes a break and or goes down. I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to see. It seems like Bitcoin hasn't really been going down, while like Ethereum has been kind of moving down. And we can look at the chart right now. Okay, so we're on the Ethereum chart, and in my last video I was talking about how we had resistance all right here, and I drew a trend line going to the downside right here. It was funny because right after I posted that, we were like down here, and right after I posted that, it like shot up, broke through the trend line, and I was like, oh, it like already broke through the trend line. I was waiting all this area to kind of post a video whether we were going to go down or if we were going to continue up, because we were kind of going sideways. I wasn't really sure what was going to happen, and we broke up, and I was like, I was wrong. But it looks like we held that downtrend, and it was just a fake out going to the upside, and it looks like we're below this downtrend again. So I'm kind of watching that same line. We might be able to adjust it, maybe something like this. It looks like we got a new resistance line, should I say. So this kind of leveled off a little bit better, but I'm still targeting these levels around here, around 3,300 and around 3,200. I'm not sure if we're going to go quite all the way down. We might even be just looking at a little dip down to maybe something like these, or maybe even this red line will hold support. I did a Fibonacci retracement from the bottom of the trend to the top of the trend, and I'm watching the 38% level and the 50% level at around, mainly this 50% level around 3,200, 3,241 is where the Fibonacci's level sitting at. So those are the levels I'm kind of thinking. I'm assuming that we're kind of going towards until we break out of this downtrend going to the upside. And like I was saying, it seems like Bitcoin has been moving up steadily, while Ethereum has been kind of been slowly going down and hasn't broken this downtrend pretty much. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm thinking, maybe let's go to the daily time frame, and we can kind of see like the bodies on the candles. Maybe we could kind of target or kind of see a little different what's going on. Oh yeah, so the other thing that happened after I made my last video is I talked about the 9 moving average. We came below the 9 moving average, and right after I made that video, like I said, we came back up. We broke right above that daily 9 moving average, and I was like, oh, maybe I was wrong. So I kind of laid off. I didn't really talk about it, or I haven't really updated on it because I wasn't really sure. I wanted to see. It looks like we're back below the 9 moving average right now, which is not a good sign. I mean, we broke it once going to the downside. That was the first signal, in my opinion. So now what I'm thinking is, until we break back above this 9 moving average, this is looking bearish again. And I'm looking at these targets below, these Fibonacci levels, these limit orders at the 38% level and the 50% level. I think the other thing too is we have support right here. This is sitting at around 3,200 as well. This is around that 50% level. You can probably argue we have support right here, we have support right here, we have support right here, and we have support right here. Let's try to do a trend line with those support levels, maybe something like this. So we might be in some sort of triangle pattern, waiting for a breakout to the upside or to the downside. It's possible that we're coming in and test this trend line right here. If we break that, maybe we could target from the top to the bottom of the triangle, maybe be conservative about it, something like that. Drag that to the breakout. That actually takes us to the 50% level too if we break to the upside, which it looks like that's the direction we're going. But we could also, if we bounce on this trend line and start going back up, maybe we can use it for an upside target too, maybe something like that to break out of this Fibonacci box. I don't know, we're gonna have to wait and see whether we break down or if we bounce off this trend line and start going up and break to the upside. This target does line up with this 50% level if we continue in this direction at around 3,241 right here. So yeah, I'm really curious what's going to happen on this total crypto market cap. It looks like we have this rising wedge, and it looks like we're really testing this bottom support now. Are we going to get a bounce and break up to the upside like it's a bull market? Or are we going to get a little correction and have to start looking at these previous support zones? Maybe even do a Fibonacci retracement from the bottom to the top of this, something like that. We could do that for fun right now. Let's see, bottom to the top. We're looking at something like this. The 50% level is sitting around 2.1 trillion, something like that. So I'm not really sure. Let's keep our eyes peeled on this little pattern right here on the 4-hour time frame, and let's see what happens. Alright, if you guys like this video, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure to check out the links in the description to follow me on my other channels.